Gotcha. Well, and we're back.
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir. Hurricane season is real, man. It's
Yeah.
a real thing, man.
But I think you were saying like your junior year, the sophomore or the senior guys in front of you, they were really like the all out squad.
Yeah, man. Of course, my sophomore year, I had the juniors. I pretty much had the same receiving core for quite some time. From
Mm,
sophomore year through sophomore year and junior year, we were exactly the same.
mm,
It was Logan Coffey as the quarterback,
mm.
which was a beast. It was an absolute beast. Ended up
Yeah.
going to Navy.
Mm,
Baller, man, baller, and amazing guy as well, right? And
yeah.
amazing guy, and as a person, just an amazing person. He's doing some great things right now that I follow. Um, and then we had the receivers, me and Patrick Barkley,
Mm,
an absolute dog in his own right. Me and him were kind of 1 and 2, or 1A, 1B, because
yeah.
Logan would just spread the ball around as much as possible. So we ran the spread offense
Mm,
sophomore and junior year. So yeah, me and Pat, A and B, 1A, 1B. Then we had Zach Woodard, who was the number 3,
mm.
Von Hankins as like the number 4, and then we had Rob. What's Rob like? Rob is Rob Parker. That's like the number. He was number 5, so he didn't get a lot of playing time, but he was definitely there. He was
Mm.
cool too. Um, and we had that group sophomore and junior year, and definitely that junior year, their senior year, we started to really put it together, and
Yeah.
we started to really drum people up, man. And it's disappointing that we didn't go further than what we did with that group,
Yeah.
because my goodness, man, like that combination of Coffee. I think Logan ended up messing up his hand. He had like a cast on his hand for a
Mm.
while, and
Right.
he was trying to throw the ball with a cast that didn't allow him to really grip the ball.
Mm.
But we really put it together that year. We were balling out. Me and Pat were leading the region in in receiving yards.
Mm.
What was his name? We had a guy from Southeast that was balling out as well. But it was me, Pat, and the guy from Southeast. Man, we were going back and forth, and then Zach would he would run. He would get a lot of fake bubbles, and he would fake block and run down the field, get a free touchdown, all stuff
Yeah.
like that. But nah, man, that was a good group, man. That was a good group of guys, man. And I definitely miss those times with them, because we would battle it out, man. That we wouldn't give the DBs a rest. It's like
Yeah.
who you gonna go against, man? What
Right.
we gonna do? Because Pat was a dog.
Yeah.
If Pat had a little bit more speed on him,
Mm.
if he had a little bit more speed on him, man, he would have went wherever he wanted to go. Because as far as catching the ball,
Yeah.
route running, blocking, attitude, he had it. He had it down pat. It's just if he could have had a little bit more speed on him, and then of course me with the speed, I would
Mm.
just go over the top of all the defense things like that. But that was a special group, man. And like I said, Zach was still doing this thing. Vaughn would come in. Vaughn was a decoy, but he would block and all
Yeah.
that good stuff. So we were balling, man. And then of course, I don't know if we're skipping past junior year. I'll let you kind of lead that, but junior year was special because that's when I really started to come into myself as a receiver.
Mm.
Right, my whole sophomore year, I played corner. Junior year, now I'm receiver. Now I'm doing all the reverses. I'm doing all the screen passes. I'm
Mm.
doing, I'm the primary target. Teams are starting to look at me on their scouting board, understanding that, hey, they're going to give this guy the ball 15 plus times a game,
Right.
right? How are we going to make sure he has as little impact as possible? And that's where we were, man. And I had a lot of fun that year.
Mm.
Put up some great stats. And junior year is really when like the floodgates for recruiting started to open. And
Mm.
I really started to seeing my name pop up on rivals.com and things like that. And you start looking at stars, and you start looking at, articles for what people are writing about me. And as a
Yeah.
kid, man, you can't ignore that. It's like, man, my name's in the newspaper quite a bit. I'm getting player of the week, things like that, man. It was a fun time, man. It's not something I would say I expected,
Yeah.
but I expected it in the sense of I knew what I was working towards. I knew what I had in me,
Mm.
but I was just playing football, man. I was just a kid out there playing football. I wasn't even polished. I
Mm.
was really out there just running around, throw it up. I got it,
Yeah.
throw it up. And so yeah, that junior year was special.
Yeah. I think was the junior year, is that when we got to the Elite Eight?
No, that was senior year.
Okay, that was senior year.
That
Okay.
was senior, and
Because
that's the funny thing, man. I feel like we had a better team junior year,
right.
with the exception of Logan hurting his thumb or hurting his hand.
Hmm.
We had a more solid team that year because we had Drew Parks back there running at the running back
Oh
and
yeah.
playing safety. And bro, we had a squad that junior year. And like I said, it was disappointing that we just couldn't get
Yeah.
to where we needed to go. And then we come back that next year with a freshman quarterback and
Hmm.
do what we did. But we'll talk about that later, I guess.
Right,
But
right.
that junior year, man, it's a shame. I don't even know how we dropped some of those games. But that of course, like I told you, that sophomore year
Hmm.
got that first letter from Vandy,
Hmm.
and then that junior year, one of the first games of the year, we played Gordon Central,
Hmm.
and they had a safety back there, safety slash quarterback
Hmm.
that was going to Virginia Tech, 4-star
Hmm.
safety going to Virginia Tech, and I took him to the house on a slant. All
Hmm.
right, they called what is it six? What's the slant? 61. What's the play? Because
I don't remember.
63 was, it was 60 was the hitch, 63 was the fade, so
Hmm.
62 was the 62 might have been the slant,
It
but they
might have been.
called it.
Yeah.
I took the slant, called it probably 5 yards down the field, and
Hmm.
hit one jab step, and then hit one more on the guy on the safety,
Yeah.
um, and took him to the house. 4-star
Mm.
safety, took him to the house. Foot
Yeah.
race. What we gonna do? Took him to the house, and I think right then is when my recruitments blew up. It's
Mm.
like when you get the opportunity to play against those guys who have a name already,
Yeah.
and you show up like not even like, oh, they're on the other side of the ball. He's on offense. I'm on offense, so we never see each other. No, no, no.
Right.
This is me versus you. You
Mm.
had a chance to square me up. I juked you out your shoes, turned
Mm.
you around, took you to the house. Now it's like, who is that kid? If we think this much of this guy,
Yeah.
if we're saying he's 4-star, who is this dude that just did him like that? You know what I
Right.
mean? And right after that game, and I credit him so much, even though I rag on this play a lot, and I talked to him when I went to Tennessee. He was at
Mm.
Virginia Tech. We played each other in the bowl game. I talked to him then, but it's just like I credit him so much with helping me with my recruitment
Yeah.
because of course I was getting looked at by Vandy, which no disrespect to Vandy. They just whooped Bama yesterday. So no disrespect at all to Vandy. But for me, I was a Florida State kid. That's where I
Mm.
wanted to go. I grew up in Florida. I wanted to go to Florida State. So I knew, in order for me to get to Florida State, I got to do some things. And
Right.
after I shook bro out of shoes and took him to the house, my recruitment just skyrocketed. Next thing you know, Virginia Tech is now calling.
Mm.
Right, Virginia Tech called me. Virginia Tech probably called me maybe that Tuesday after the
Mm.
game. Play on Friday. Coach McClure gets me to his office for a call with Virginia Tech that Tuesday. That
Wow.
quick. They must have been at the game or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
That quick. I get a call from Virginia Tech. A couple days later, I get mail from Virginia Tech. And the way it works in recruiting is once one school thinks you're something, the
Mm.
other ones will just send you something just to see like who is this guy. So
Mm.
now you get Virginia Tech. They're in the ACC. Now you have Clemson. Now you have
Mm.
Miami. Now you have
Mm.
Virginia. You have all these schools starting to look at you, and then now it kind of trickles over a little bit. Okay, well if they're looking at him, who is that? Why is he showing up on their board?
Yeah.
Now Tennessee, South Carolina, visits to Georgia, Auburn, Alabama. Now everybody's looking, and next thing you know, you got two conferences. You got the ACC and the SEC,
Yeah.
all calling you, and it's a lot, man. It's a lot. I'm sure we'll dive into recruiting another later, but
Yeah.
it got wild junior year, man. It got wild.
It's crazy how it almost seems like it's a whole nother world where it's like you you don't really see it unless you're on that tier list where it's like, okay, these are the guys in the magazines, these are the guys making the plays, because otherwise it's like you're kind of doing your due diligence, whether like you're a scout team player, you're giving the team a good looks to get ready for the teams and the opponents that you're going to play. But it's one of those things where it's like, as much as many teams as there are, it seems like football is still like a small local thing. Like people are always paying attention, whether you know it or not. Like from middle school for like Jalen, um, to high school, it's like you got college teams looking because they're like, hey, when's the next guy coming up? Like who is it? And you got scout the scouts that go out to games, that go and visit, that make the calls, and then you have the offensive coordinator, athletic director, like Coach McClurg is there, like making those connections where it's like
Mhm.
that's what they're in those roles to do, to be like, okay, hey, let's steer this guy in the right way. Let's, hey, if there's an opportunity for you here, let's put you there and kind of put you in the right slot. So it's like being able to step back and look at it like years later now and be like, oh, that's what all is going on. And at the time you mentioned it like you're just
Oh,
back
but
there having fun, and
mhm.
you're enjoying the game, and like you might not be aware of what all's going on, but like other people are kind of looking out for you. So I think that's really
Mhm.
neat to see.
Yeah, man, it's a cool deal, man. And the thing about recruiting, it's a gift and a curse.
Hmm.
Because on one hand, you have a lot of people that's interested, like, you know what, this kid is special. We want to see him do great things. But you also then turn to the people who are very in it for themselves. For
Hmm.
the it gets weird at times, and you got people with hidden agendas of where you should go and why you should go there. You don't know what back room conversations are happening about you.
Right.
Um, so you start having people pull and push you in different ways.
Hmm.
Um, so in that time, it was very important for me to stay in a close knit circle. Like who
Right.
do I trust here? Who do I trust? I have mom,
Hmm.
and I got Coach McClurg right here.
Hmm.
Because you start to realize like people will come up to you having off the cuff what seems like off the cuff conversations, but they were really sitting there waiting for you to walk by because they knew where you should be.
Right.
You're coming out of the locker room after practice, and
Hmm.
this random adult is standing there, not
Yeah.
necessarily tied to anything, but now he wants to have a conversation.
Hmm.
And as a kid, you don't even realize what's happening, and
Right.
that's why
Right.
it's very important. And one thing I try to tell kids that I've coached, keep your people around you. Like dads, get close to the locker room.
Yeah.
Dads, stay very involved. Moms, stay very involved because people are having conversations with 15, 16, 17 year olds, and we don't necessarily know the ulterior motives. And we just think people are having genuine conversation, and the whole time they're trying to manipulate you to pull you
Right.
into the direction that they want you to go. And I didn't realize that, for a
Hmm.
while. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that for a while, because my mom didn't know anything about recruiting.
Hmm.
In her mind, my baby gets to go to college for free.
Hmm.
Sign us up. I don't care
Right.
where we go, right? I don't care where we go. We go into college for free.
Hmm.
Um, so recruiting was amazing. It was fun. It
Hmm.
was a lot of fun. But we can't discuss that part without discussing some of the manipulative parts by some adults that's around, because
Yeah.
you know you're not a normal kid anymore. I
Hmm.
don't I don't go to school and go home like the normal kids at that point, right? I
Right.
gotta
Right.
now, hey Stephaun, you got these calls. Hey, Coach McClurg calling me in. Hey Stephaun, you got calls with
Hmm.
this, and this. You got 5 calls that's
Yeah.
coming in here in the next, and they're scheduled 15 minutes apart. And
Yeah.
then somehow people get your phone number,
Oh.
um, and now they're calling you directly, and it's like, is this legal? You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like, is this legal? I
Right.
don't know. And you're starting to have these conversations, and but nah, man. When it's done right, when you're at these visits, when you're at the spots that you want to be in,
Hmm.
it's an amazing time, man. Getting to go to all these schools, be wined and dined, be courted. Oh
Hmm.
man, like it's a great, it's an amazing time, man. One of my most fun times being recruited, man. I went to a South Carolina visit, and they played Florida. They
Hmm.
had CJ Leak, and South Carolina had Sidney Rice on the field, and
Man.
just a crazy game. South Carolina upset Florida. Florida was ranked at the time.
Hmm.
Just an amazing time, man. So you go spots like that. You get to go to all the games. You go into a game every Saturday. So
Hmm.
after Friday night football, while
Yeah.
everyone goes home and gets to chill on Saturday, I'm on the road at midnight traveling
Hmm.
somewhere. Right. I've taken many trips. right after the games. I'm sorry, my son
No,
sitting
you're
right there.
good. You're
But
good.
Friday nights after the games, like that's the part people don't really see a lot. How the movements and how your life changes as a 15, 16, 17 year old.
Yeah.
Like you don't go home on Friday nights after games. You go, you maybe shower at the locker room, and now you're getting in the car with your mom or your guardian or a coach, and y'all are
Mhm.
hitting the road wherever you got to go. We got to drive to Alabama because they got a 12 o'clock game tomorrow morning, and we got a
Yeah.
whole itinerary. Or you got to go to Tennessee, or hey, we need to drive to Tallahassee. We need
Mhm.
to drive to Columbia, South Carolina. We got to go to Clemson,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean. So it changed in that way. And like I'm saying, like we are talking about, this is all junior year. We haven't even gotten to senior year craziness yet.
Right. I mean,
So
it's
yeah.
like so. I guess how are you dealing with this at the time? Like, is it intensifying like middle junior year or like post football season? Is it kind of all the same all the way around?
So during the football season, it's pretty wild because
Mhm.
recruiting is wide open. Everybody's
Right.
trying to get you on their campus for a visit. Everybody wants you to come to one of their games,
Mhm.
right? So you have that now. Your itinerary at that time. It's the first time I've had a schedule like
Mhm.
that.
Right.
Where of course, I've had a football schedule. Hey, you're supposed to be here on Friday for morning runs, all that stuff. But
Mhm.
you now have a fleshed out itinerary over 3 months as a 16-year old. It's just like,
That's
okay,
wild.
all right, you got you got Tennessee versus this day.
Mhm.
That game is at 3:30, so we got to make sure we're there by this because the itinerary starts here. Then after
Mhm.
the game, they do this. Okay, this week you're going here. Then
Right.
and
Because you're not
you
just
know,
visiting, you're not just going to the game. You got to visit the college campus. You got to meet like different people. They kind of give you like this is the experience of what our
yeah.
environment is.
You have to take the tour. You have to go to the library. You got to go to the student success centers. You got to go, they take you around the campus. Then they
Mm,
want to show you the atmosphere on game day. Let's show you how game day looks for you. Let's take you to the meeting rooms, the receiver meeting rooms.
mm,
Then you got to go to the actual game. Then after the game, it's kind of like the coaches after they're done with all their stuff.
yeah.
Now they got to come in. They want to talk to you a little bit because they don't really talk to you before the game because they're preparing things
Mm,
like that. So now they come and talk and wine and dine you after that, and your
yeah.
day is over. Depending on what time the game is, your day is over at 11 p.m. After you've been preparing for high school football all day Friday,
Mm,
right? You left home Friday morning. You went to the game. You went
yeah.
to school, went to the game, got on the road, got to a hotel at 3 in the morning, slept to about 8 a.m.
Mm,
Sleep to about 8 a.m. just to get up, start your itinerary, and don't get done with your day till 11 p.m. Maybe you stay at the hotel. Maybe your mom or maybe the coaches feel like we can make this trip back home, and you get back home to Dalton, 3 4 a.m. Sunday morning. And
yeah.
it's a wild time, man. And not like I said, I'm saying all that not to say it was
Yeah.
bad, but it was just different.
Yeah.
I didn't hang out on the weekends,
Right.
especially
Right.
during the season. I just didn't. So
That makes
yeah.
sense. Yeah. And when you describe it, it makes me think of the story of The Blind Side, where it's like you have what you see on the movie, but then years later you hear about how like the person, yeah, how he was taken advantage of is essentially. And it's like, hey, yeah, people can go and see your story in a way, but then they don't realize that, oh, like you didn't really make what they thought you would make. And then when you see someone like the NCAA step in and be like, hey, are you guys doing this? And people get real defensive about things. And it's like, okay, well, when you look at the truth behind the story, it's like, yeah, there's some shadiness that went on. And it's like, if somebody can get away with something without there being like a proper mediator, or like you said, like having your people with you, like having family, having the people that have your best interests at heart that don't necessarily get anything from your success, or like, okay, if you go here, I know we're going to get free tickets, we're going to get this, we're going to get that.
Mhm.
It's like, no, I
Yeah.
want to make sure that my child, I want to make sure that my friend, I want to make sure that our son, like, gets to where he needs to get to in life and not just make us look good or make us be the next proving ground for the next thing.
Yeah, man. It's a sticky situation, man. And I get it though. It's one thing is like I do understand
Mm,
where they see people are opportunists naturally, right?
Mm.
They
Right.
want to take advantage of their opportunities, whether it's professionally, whatever it may be. They want to take advantage of opportunities,
Right.
and they see, hey, I have an in with this kid.
Mm.
If I can push him towards this way, maybe
Mm.
my career looks a little different.
Mm.
Maybe my career looks better.
Right.
Maybe I
Right.
can establish a pipeline here where, like I said, and I'm not talking about necessarily our coaches,
Right. Right.
but in general, like the
Yeah.
community, it got kind of weird when, like I said, the most weird thing for me is when I left the locker room and there was a adult that I never met before
Mm.
sparked up a random conversation with me. It's nothing inappropriate, but it's
Right.
just like
Right. It's just out of the blue.
it's
Like
out of the
just
blue. I don't even
okay.
know this guy,
Right.
right? And the fact that he knew where I was going to be, so it's like, hey, what's going on, man? Hey, I hear such and such school is looking at you, man. Hey, that'll be a good look for you, man. Think about how this, think about that, man. Their depth chart is easy, and it's like, how do you know so much about this school
Right.
and what I want. You asking me about like, hey, what do I want from a school? What am I looking for? What type of things? And I'm thinking this guy might be a reporter because
Mm.
that happens too. You
Right.
got
Right.
Chattanooga reporters, Dalton reporters, you got
Mm.
area reporters that you just don't know. So
Right.
I'm thinking it's that, but the whole time this guy is trying to get me to allow him to represent me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it's a weird spot to be in. But like I said, man, the everybody wants that leg up in their career. Whether you're a scout, if you say, "Hey, I found this kid from Dalton, Georgia,
Mm.
and I'm gonna get him to come to your school,"
Yeah.
and you break me off X amount, or that looks good on my resume. So now when I come to you for that nice position, you're going
Mm.
to give it to me because I've been feeding you players over
Right.
the course of the last few years, or whatever the case may be, or they try to get to your parents.
Mm.
And one thing about recruiting, man, these recruiters, these coaches love a single mama. Man. They
Mm.
love a single mama when they
Yeah.
come through because it's like what they do. They put their arm around the kid, like, oh man, we're going to be this father figure for him. We're going to show him the way. We're going to show him how to be a man.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, single moms don't realize that they're playing her too.
Mm.
They're playing her too. But it's all a game. Everybody's
Right.
trying to
Right.
get something out of it. And a whole different topic. That's why I'm not upset about the NIL. That's why I'm
Right.
not upset about the transfer portal
Mm.
because recruiters, coaches, everybody involved, reporters,
Yeah.
everybody involved have been getting their career made off the backs of high school and college athletes for so long.
Right.
Now that they have the opportunity to do what they want to do and control their careers, I'm
Mm.
not mad at it. Now I
Right.
wish them the best in making the best decisions, financially for themselves and legally
Mm.
for themselves. Get some get some representation on that. But
Yeah.
everybody's been getting as much as they can out of high school and college athletes for so long. Now the opportunity for I'm gonna say us just because I was a part of it,
Yeah.
but now the opportunity for us to be in control of that,
Mm.
I'm all for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean,
yeah, man.
I think when you think about it, it's like whenever you're going for a job or you're like trying to make a way into a career, like post football or just in everyday life, it's that you have recruiters that will reach out and things like that, and it's you're you're usually more attractive when you have a job, and like
Mm-hmm.
once they see, oh, this person, they looked at your LinkedIn profile. I remember somebody had reached out to me. I think the principal or at the time he was the assistant principal when I was going to school, but he said, "Hey, this is somebody that you could consider for like a profile piece or something like, hey, people that have graduated from Dalton, they're doing well in their career now." And as the person was talking to me, they were reading off my LinkedIn, and you forget sometimes how much information you put out there. And I'm like, it feels a little weird. How do you how do you know so much about me? And then they're like, oh, hey, um, Principal Bartu mentioned you. And I was like, okay, I know
Mm-hmm.
him. I was like, if you connected through him to me, it's like, okay, we're good there. But before
Mm-hmm.
when you just start reading off a rap sheet, I'm like, or not a rap sheet, like a stat sheet of like,
Yeah,
here's where you worked, here's what you did, here's what you're into. I was like, okay,
yeah.
it's a little strange, but I guess we'll go forward going into your senior year. What is that looking like? Because now you've had the receiver core move out, so now
Mm-hmm.
you're the main guy having to bring in. the underclassmen essentially. And did we switch the to the triple option at that point or
Yeah, man. That yeah. Let's go there, man. So we switch, transitioning from junior to senior season. Of course, I still hadn't made my decision on where I'm playing yet, right? I'm still
Mm,
enjoying the recruiting trail. I'm still enjoying going to everybody's stadium. I'm going everywhere.
yeah.
Um, I'm going to camps this season. That summer I'm showing out. We go to Auburn every year. I show out there.
Mm,
Did a great job there. And I go, where else I go? I go to a few camps that summer, and
mm,
I'm cooking. I'm cooking now. I'm really showing myself. I'm starting to go against 3, 4, 5 star DBs,
mm,
um, which really kind of highlighted some of the inefficiencies I had as a receiver. Because,
mm,
like I said, I can burn you easily. It wasn't
yeah.
too many that's gonna stick with me at that point, so I was burning folks easily.
Mm,
But where I lacked is like getting off the jam or
mm,
running crisp routes, short routes, things like that. So the camps not only allowed me to like boost my profile, but it
mm,
also highlighted some things that I needed to work on because it was tough for me to get off the jam because I just wasn't used to it.
yeah.
Usually in games, people would lay off because they don't want me to run past them. But you got
Right.
this 5 star DB, you know,
They
in
gotta
your
hem you
chest
up
at
a
this
little
point.
bit.
Yeah, him you up. So it's like, um, so I learned a lot about myself that summer
Mm,
and found some ways to be better as a receiver. Just to find out that Coach Weingarten has now switched the offense
mm.
to a triple option style wing back deal. So now I'm not necessarily even a receiver anymore. I'm
Mm,
now kind of like a running back, and
yeah.
I'm very grateful that I had already established myself on the recruiting trail as a nice addition as far as a receiver goes. I
Mm,
did lose a star. I ended up a 2 star at the end of my high school career
mm,
when I should have, I had 3 when I was running out the spread. But
yeah.
then, of course, my recruiting number, my receiver numbers are lower my senior year because now I'm running the ball a lot more. Now I
Mm,
run for 1,000 yards. Now I only, receive for about 800, 900. So things
right.
are great as far as production wise. But now people don't see me as a 3 star receiver because I'm not even catching the ball as much anymore.
Right.
So, um, so yeah, we go into that triple option. Mostly because I think we had Harrison Scott. He was a freshman, true, I was going to say true freshman, but that's for
Mm,
college.
yeah.
Freshman quarterback, where he was still developing. He did a great job.
Right. That's
He
right.
was
I just realized as you mentioned it, it's like we're 2 years apart, not 1 year apart. Gotcha.
yeah.
Because I think Matt has been between you and me.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Matt's
That
between
makes
you and you.
sense.
So yeah, man, I'm running with Harrison, and he just wasn't developed as a quarterback yet. By the time he left, though, he was that guy. But
Right.
his freshman year, he was fighting for position with
I think Trip or no, no,
not
not
Trip,
Trip.
man. What was his name? I don't want to butcher his name, but he was fighting for a position there. Both of them were
Apologies, man.
young.
Apologies.
Hmm.
We love you. It's like
Hmm.
it's been
Definitely
years.
apologies. But he was. I think Harrison just had the body type that they were looking for. He was a little bit taller, had a little bit
Hmm.
more to him, and who he was fighting with was a little bit more scrawny. Had a good
Hmm.
arm, but just didn't have the stature that they were looking for. And that's
Yeah.
just from me talking to coaches, things like that. Because
Right, right.
I was fighting for the spread. I did not want to go into this triple option
Hmm.
style deal that was going to take the ball out of, take my best ability of, running post and fades
Hmm.
out of my hands. So they chose Harrison, and we go into the season and we're balling, man. We lose to Carrollton our first game.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, lose to them, and then we just go on a run for a little bit, and then we get to Gordon Central and lose in overtime because I
Hmm.
fumbled the ball. That was my first fumble of my career. I had never fumbled the ball before. I had 3 touchdowns at the time, over like 200 yards receiving,
Hmm.
just cooking, just
Yeah.
cooking, and just after a while, I just got wore down, and I'm a smaller guy at the time, so
Hmm.
whereas my game is on the outside and as a receiver, and then for some reason in the second overtime they decided run them up the middle
Mm.
For we on the 3 yard line for some reason run them up the middle, and I've been hit before, but by cornerbacks, safeties,
Yeah,
outside linebackers. Getting hit by the lineman and the middle linebacker just
that's
wasn't.
different.
It wasn't. You know what I mean? I wasn't afraid of the hit, and I've been hit before, but
Yeah.
it's different when a 300 pounder or a two. Well, let's call it 250 for high school, right? There's a 250 guy hits you rather than somebody that's 180.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just different, and I fumbled on the goal line, and I think that right there kind of ignited us into that third round of the playoffs that we ended up getting to. So that year we
Yeah.
balling out. I'm running the ball a lot more um, than I was in previous years. Um, we got Harrison. Harrison pretty much just handing the ball off as much as possible. Then he'll fake it and run when
Mhm.
he gets the opportunity to. So it was pretty primarily me and Sawyer Schultz toting the rock.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah,
what
I remember
Kelly Story,
Sawyer
yeah, Kelly
and
Story,
Kelly.
who we had at tight end. Can't, I'm sorry, man. I'd be forgetting, man.
No,
Sorry,
you're
man. Put it on my.
I remember Ben from my grade, but I think there's somebody that was older than him because that would have been our
Mhm.
well, your
He
senior
was
year would have been, I think, Harrison's sophomore
freshman. No,
year,
that's his freshman year.
freshman year.
Yeah, that's his freshman year, man.
Because
It
I
was.
thought we played because I thought because I'm the same grade as Harrison, and I thought
Mhm.
like our freshman year was when we had the guys that were seniors in front of you, and then I could be wrong,
That could be, man.
but
Listen, but blame it on my head, not my heart. Blame it. It's on my head, not my heart, man. I promise you. I promise you. Blame it on my head, not my
it's all
heart.
good. It's all good.
Yeah. Maybe it was that hit against Gordon Central that knocked that memory out.
Hey man, it's like there's some hits where it's like I feel like it was either my sophomore year or something, or I just kept telling myself it's like once I got hit that way, I'm like I maybe I had like a delayed concussion. I was like, I don't remember
Yeah.
half of this stuff because
Yeah.
I focused more on schoolwork and it's like football was kind of like a fun thing.
Yeah.
And but at some point there's that I think it was either my junior year going into the senior year where Coach Thompson was like, hey, show me that you can be like a go-to person like when
Hmm.
you're in track is like you got to give it your all because
Hmm.
sometimes it's like I'd be running and kind of like looking around as I'm running. It's like obviously you're not running full speed if you got
Yeah.
time to look around unless like you're Usain Bolt, but kind of going back to that training of like those repetitions that you put in time and time and time again. That's what makes it automatic to where you're not thinking because when
Hmm.
you're thinking, you're like, oh, like who's that over there in the stand or what's going on over here? It's like, dude, you got to
Yeah.
lock in. Like if
Focus
you're not
up.
locked in, like you're gonna get lit up pretty easily.
Exactly, man. Go make the play. Go do the thing. The fans will be there after. Once you make the play, they're gonna be cheering for you anyway. You got plenty of time to look at that point.
Yeah. What
But
what's funny about like kind of coming to the end of your senior year when we look at I don't know if I'm maybe skipping over things here, but to find out now that like you grew up in Tampa and like that's where like the dogs are, where you have the guys from the pivot. What's his name? Like very famous running back. I
mm,
think he played for either played for Tampa or he played for
off
but
the
it,
pivot,
yeah,
Fred
yeah, yeah.
Fred Taylor.
Yeah, Fred Taylor.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's like hearing about how him and a lot of the guys that they interview that have gone to the NFL and further, like Hall of Fame star players are just like they always talk about growing up with that dog mentality where it's like you'd be playing just pick up football or touch football where you guys are there and you're having to go against people that are just all fast, all fast, all fast. So by the time we get to that last game, and it's like now we've been in North Georgia. It's like, yeah, you guys have been doing your thing, but now you playing against Atlanta teams. And
yeah.
it's like they're different type of dogs where like that's where it was like you're excited. We're having the pep rallies. It's like, hey, you're going to the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight. It's like, oh
Yeah.
man, they might do it. Like you described, like as you were coming in, they'd gone to the semifinals before, and now it's looking like, are they gonna do it? Are they gonna do it? And then as the game's going on, it's just like two completely different speed. You got guys
Yeah.
in the backfield, like it almost seemed like they were tackling both the runner and the quarterback or the blockers
Yeah.
and the quarterback at the same time. And it's just like Ooh, like you trying to keep your morale up, and like, what was that like for you?
Man, so you're talking about that game at Griffin, right?
Yeah,
Griffin
yeah.
came into town. We had played two playoff games before that. We were balling enough to where we had home field advantage for the whole playoffs.
Mm,
And that game wasn't as bad as it could have been. It ended up 28-14,
mm,
right? But the problem with that is, and not to throw in, yeah, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, not blaming anybody, but that offense wasn't meant for
mm.
championship football. It
Right,
just
right.
wasn't, man. And when you get deeper in the playoffs, your adjustments mean more than anything.
Mm,
What are you doing week to week? What are you adding? What wrinkle are you adding to this?
right.
Because they are going to hone in on your favorite plays. They're going to hone into that.
Yeah.
And for a team as athletic as Griffin,
Mm,
as athletic as they are, and I still stand by, I was the fastest guy on the field no matter what.
yeah.
And I was able to get open, but
It doesn't matter if they're in the
it don't
backfield by
it
the time
don't
you're getting
matter,
down the
man.
field.
Those boys uh in Harrison's lap as soon as the ball snapped. So now my
Yeah.
route, instead of breaking it at 8, now I got to break it at about 6 just to give him a chance to get the ball out.
Mm,
And the receivers we had on the outside wasn't threatening enough
right.
because we were playing the way we were playing. We had with 2 wings and the one in the back, and then one receiver outside.
Mm,
They knew we weren't throwing to that receiver outside.
right.
So instead of putting a great corner over there, now they just got a guy over there, and now
Mm,
all their dogs are kind of looking at us and kind of bracketing us into this one spot
yeah.
that we couldn't quite get out of, especially with the run. They weren't going to
Mm,
let us outside of that box. So now we're
right.
trying to run with Sawyer and Kelly and even myself, but you got these guys that are about to go, next level D1,
Right.
and
Right.
now they know that their two D tackles are going to blow up the line. So now their DNs are just sitting on the outside of everything,
Right.
right? Linebackers just bracket everything, and so they had a little smash type of deal where everything just take it from the outside, make it go in, and everybody just smash into the inside.
Yeah.
That's all it was. And I had some communications with some of the guys from Griffin after that, because once you go off to school and you start to
Mm,
realize, oh, that's that guy, that's that guy. So I
mm,
started to meet some more people, and it's like, bro, they said, bro, there was nobody there that was going to threaten us deep. So
mm,
safeties are at 8 yards.
yeah.
You know what I
Oh
mean?
man.
Safeties are at 8 yards instead of 12.
Yeah.
And now every time they hand the ball off to me, everybody's just running downhill because nobody's scared of play action. Because
Mm,
if I'm in the backfield running motion,
right. They're like,
who's
he's getting
going?
the ball.
They don't need anybody 12 yards back,
Mm.
right? You know what I mean? So it's just they just told us like, man, that was one of the easiest the easiest game plans that we had because it was simple, right? It was simple.
Right.
So at that point, it's all about can you switch it up on them? How are your adjustments? So I was very frustrated there because I couldn't get as loose as I would like to because it's hard to get loose when you're standing next to the offensive tackle,
Mm.
right? So now when you're trying to run a route, now the linebacker's hitting you. Then
Yeah.
you still got the corner outside of you. Then you got the
Mm.
safety on top of you. So the linebackers, he's not covering you, but as long as he can get enough on you to where now my route is slowed up,
Yeah.
the corner sitting outside, the safety sitting on top. Nobody else is going to threaten them, and
Mm.
then they know their D line is just going to run over our O line.
Yeah.
Most frustrating game I've ever played in because you just knew I can't get out. We're not
Yeah.
going to go into a spread that gives me the opportunity to be one on one. If
Mm.
you put me all the way on the sideline and they got to cover me, somebody got to cover me all the way there. Now we got a chance. We may have a chance, but
Right.
that just wasn't where we were as a team at that time. And that's just how it ended up. But that was a tough one. That one's still tough because I know those guys now,
Yeah.
and it's more tough because I know them. I know
Do
some of
they
those
still
guys
do they
now.
still talk at you or
Not
talk to
not
you just
no
so I
not
can remember
anymore.
them?
Like if we ever like if they're doing well or if we're doing well, like when Ja
Yeah.
was coming out, oh yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Oh, I'm on it. You know what I mean? Now I'm at the head. And it was like, oh, y'all should have had them when we played. So now we jaw like that. But
Right, right.
when Kyrick was getting ready to come, Kyrick and those guys were getting ready to come out, I would talk a little bit, and when Ja was coming out, I would talk a little bit. But
Mm.
we don't talk about it much. But now, like I said, now that I know those guys, it's more frustrating now
Yeah,
knowing how easily they thought that game went.
yeah.
So
They made it look easy
yeah,
because
yeah,
it was just one of those where it's like you like on the sidelines you always try to like keep the morale up, keep the momentum up, and like you go in halftime and it's like you kind of looking at where you're at and you're like you got to get a pep talk and you're like okay like
this is
are,
over.
are we just saying words at this point? Or it's like I just want to go home and lick my wounds. I
I just
don't want
want
to
to
do
go
this
home.
anymore.
Oh my gosh, it was so bad, man. It was really tough knowing that you could do so much more, but
Mm,
you were kind of hamstrung by the playbook and the formations that we were getting put in. Because it's
yeah.
not fun. I'm not a running back. I was
Mm,
never a running back. And it's not fun getting hit every play and I don't even have the ball,
mm,
right? But now that you have me sitting right next to a offensive tackle, I'm
yeah.
fair game. I'm
Right,
fair
right,
game for linebackers, DNs. If the DN wants to come off and give me a little shiv, and a
right,
linebacker wants to hit me on my way out to my route, that wasn't fun.
right, right.
That was not fun at all, and that's not the type of player I was. And then I still did great. I still was all state and everything for
Mm.
senior year, but it's just like there was so much more we could have done, man. So that is tough to see.
So I guess how was it like coming off of that, like kind of still because football season's fall semester, tech because we do 2 semesters and like you have to finish that up and then still finish out the school year. Were you concerned at all with recruiting or were you kind of set on like, okay, like I did what I could, but now I've got to finalize some stuff before making a decision?
The tough part about recruiting is well, the great part about recruiting, it doesn't allow you to sit and and sulk for long
Right.
because coaches are calling you Saturday morning.
Mm.
Right after the game, I heard you lost. Like, my goodness, like we just lost. Like, how you heard that fast? Called you on Saturday morning right before their games, or like I said, I have to go to a game after that.
Right.
So I'm leaving the
Still in the
playoff game.
playoffs.
Yeah, I'm leaving the playoffs, and now I still where I go after that game. I can't remember where I went,
Yeah.
but after that game, I still got to go to I got to drive through the middle of the night to get to another city to get to a game.
Hmm.
So you're dealing with that. They don't allow you to soak long. So and then they're whining and dining you. So for me, you know, 12 hours later, I'm good because I'm up here eating all this great food, getting hugged on and tell, how much I'm gonna change the program and this and
Hmm.
that. So I was good, man. But it did allow me to really focus in on where I would like to go. So I started taking my visits a little differently. And,
Hmm.
you start getting into official visits where you're staying the weekend now. You go on
Hmm.
Friday, they're flying you out. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? They now you got tickets. Now you're not driving. The unofficial visits you're driving, right?
Yeah.
But now you're getting into the official visits and they're flying you out. You get they're flying you and your mom out. You get out
Yeah.
there, you in the nicest hotels of whatever city you're in,
Hmm.
and you really have a great weekend there. So my transition from senior year of high school football was great. it,
Hmm.
was, it was great because I was recruited and I had people wine and dining me for a little bit. So things transitioned well for me
That's
there.
good.
But I just really honed into what am I looking for in my next stop.
Mm.
So,
And what'd you settle on as to like what you were looking for? Because initially you mentioned Florida State, and like, was your mom excited about that, or is it like, I don't know?
man, you know what? Every single ACC school, every single SEC school,
Mm,
all the most schools in general, right? Most schools has at least sent something. Now,
mm,
even if they didn't call, they at least send a piece of mail, a questionnaire, or a
yeah,
letter of interest and things like that. Like I knew I wasn't leaving the South,
yeah,
right? I was very, very honest about that. So like
mm,
schools out west, hey, Iowa State,
yeah,
I'm not coming. I'm not.
yeah,
That's just what it is. so you kind of hone down into the area. But every ACC, every SEC, every Big East, all those type of schools,
Mm,
the only school that never sent me anything is
mm,
Florida State.
mm.
Just hurt me to my core because for me, I was just like, all they have to do is say, "Hey," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on the way. I'm on, I'm
Yeah.
committing today." I would have committed immediately, man. That's the only school that didn't say anything to me. It's like, dude, am I missing something? At least tell me what you're looking for, so I can perfect that and be a little better. But they didn't even
Mm,
send me a questionnaire, man.
dang.
So, but nah, man, I spoke with my mom, and of course Bishop Thomas. He was vital in where I was going to go. At least in giving me guidance on what I should be looking for. And it's like
Mm,
family atmosphere, of course, the depth chart. How do you feel about the coaches? Do these coaches seem like they're there for a transaction, or are they there for, hey, you know, you be great and you're fine, or are they invested into your future? Right?
mm,
Are they really trying to like improve you as a man and improve your game? So he gave me some outlook there,
mm.
and he even took me to some of my visits too. He
Yeah.
especially the Georgia visits, right? He loved the Georgia visits. Anytime we would go to Georgia, he like, oh, I'll take you. So he went to my Georgia visit with me. Let's pause one
Yeah.
second. Cut. What's up, son? But Bishop would take me to the Georgia visits. And the funny thing about that, as much of a fan as he was of Georgia,
Mm,
he didn't think I should go.
mm,
And he was like, this ain't it for you. This one isn't it for you. Of
mm.
course, he saw the depth chart. He saw, the coaches. He knows me.
Mm.
Um, so he was, no, this ain't the one for you. This is a great time, have
Yeah.
fun, but this ain't the place for you.
Mm.
Right. So that's one thing I appreciate, and that's why I talk about like having people that you really trust in your
Right.
corner during that recruiting part, because you got some vultures out there, but as long as you got some solid people
Yeah.
with you that you're telling the truth to, they're going to steer you in the right direction, right? But you got to tell them the truth about what the experience is. Hey, what's going on? Who's been talking to you? What are they saying? Are they
Mm.
saying they can give you money? Are they saying are they saying they want to represent you? Have they asked you to sign anything?
Mm.
Stuff like that. So vital piece there. But um, as far as I don't even know where we're at this
Well,
point.
I mean, so like you're wrapping up your senior year and you're going to make the decision either. I don't know if is there like a deadline you got to make it before the end of the school year, before the football banquet, things like that.
National Signing Day was February 1st that
Mm.
year. I think it's one of the
That's like
first
a
days in
month or
February.
like a month right after the playoffs just wrap up.
Yeah, yeah, that's a month. So you're taking your official visits,
Hmm.
um, and you're really diving into where you want to go.
Wow.
Um, yeah. So you're taking all these weekend visits, and it's funny. I had narrowed it down where I wanted to take my official visits, and I had Arkansas, South Carolina, hold on, Arkansas, South Carolina, UAB, and of
Hmm.
course Tennessee. Where else did I go? And Auburn, and
Mm.
Auburn, and Arkansas. And it's funny as a kid, man, just looking back on it, like the reasons I didn't choose certain schools
Yeah.
is all. I went to Arkansas, and we flew out of Chattanooga,
Mm.
and we flew on like a propeller type plane, like with the two little things, man. It wasn't like a regular plane with the jet engine and all that. It
Yeah.
was like a little propeller plane. I was like, this is the most country stuff. What is this? Ain't
Yeah.
no way I'm about to fly on this type of plane to come home every time. So that was already strike one.
Yeah.
We're flying to Arkansas. We land in like a almost like a field. It looks like, man, I was like, yeah, even Chattanooga has an official looking airport.
Right, right.
Where we were flying into in Arkansas, I was like, this is country. Plus, we got this little propeller plane.
Mm.
Nah. And then once I got there, it snowed. I'm a Florida boy.
Mm.
Once I got there, the campus beautiful, the facilities beautiful. Houston Nutt was the coach at the time.
Mm.
Awesome guy, amazing guy. If Arkansas was in Georgia, probably would have went.
Yeah.
The fact that I had that propeller plane, the airport was like a field,
Mm.
and And when I got there, it snowed. It made me, as a kid, man, that's a
Yeah.
kid decision. Like looking at it, man, those facilities, everything was awesome. That was when Derek McFadden, and Darren McFadden, Felix
Yeah.
Jones, Peyton Hillis, all those boys was there. Monk, all them boys were there. They had a squad,
Mm.
and I didn't go because it snowed,
Mm.
and I was cold the whole time. And then you got Auburn, similar, but I drove to Auburn because it's only what 3 hours away. I drove to Auburn
Mm.
for the weekend. And I had been to Auburn many, many times before, but I never did the weekend.
Yeah.
And and once again, kid decisions. Auburn's just so secluded, man. It's not a city. I'm from Tampa,
Mm.
and the fun that I have or had is down there is just different. So when I go there, and it's like there's not like a there's not like a nightlife. There's not like a it's only football, which is great, if
Right.
you're trying to
Right.
focus up. But it's not Tuscaloosa.
Mm.
Tuscaloosa is a good city, is a good town. Now I like being in Tuscaloosa. That was a good time. But
Mm.
Auburn was just like, hey, if you're not on campus, it
Yeah.
ain't much outside of here. You know what I mean? Once soon as you leave campus, cornfield or whatever they're growing over there.
Yeah.
But Tuscaloosa has a city around it. Knoxville, of course, you will get to Knoxville last. But then I go to
Mm.
South Carolina.
Yeah.
South Carolina is amazing. I was going to go to South Carolina's coach Steve Spurrier. He was there, and he ran a lot of screens and stuff like that, which is what I was running in high school. So I'm like, man,
Mm.
this is where I'm going. I am going here. I
Yeah.
was dead set on South Carolina, and my recruiting coach got fired, and a couple weeks before National Signing Day. So after I went to my official visit,
Mm.
I get home and I don't have any communications from South
Mm.
Carolina. So now I'm talking to my mom, I'm talking to Bishop, I'm talking to all the people around me.
Yeah.
And then we'll go to the Tennessee because I took that visit in there too. But now I'm not getting any calls. And it's like,
Right.
oh
Right.
shoot, did they not like me?
Mm.
I went on this visit. Did they not like me? Well, who else phone number do you have up there? Oh man, I don't have anybody's number, right? You know what I mean? Because we were still flip phone era. It wasn't
Yeah.
these devices that we got now. So it's just like I don't have anybody's number but Coach Hill.
Mm.
Man, he's not calling me back. I don't know. Phone going to voicemail. And
Mm.
I'm like, oh shoot, like maybe they just didn't like me.
Mm.
And now next weekend I'm going to Knoxville.
Mm.
That was my final visit, and Knoxville knocked it out the park. Now, granted, Coach McClurg was a Knoxville guy. You got Coach Starlin that was at Dalton,
Mm.
coaching basketball. He's a Tennessee guy. He played at
Oh yeah.
Tennessee.
Yeah. I remember
So
Coach Starling.
I got all these people in my ear. Tennessee, Tennessee, Tennessee. How easy it is to get up there from where we are. What
Mm.
hour and a half? Something
Yeah.
slight. Um, and I get up there in the family atmosphere. And also another thing, Coach Former came to the school, and he walked through the halls. A lot of
Mm.
coaches came to the school.
Yeah.
Coach Former got there, and I told him how much my English teacher, Miss Robinson, loved Tennessee. God
Yeah.
rest her soul, right? Um, and he was like, "Let's go see her."
Yeah.
He walked through the halls with me to go see my English teacher, and that right there was like, for one, I was already sold right there. Of course, I wanted to go to South Carolina, but that was special though, man. Like
Yeah.
he took time out of his day, knock on her door. She teaching a whole nother class to walk in her classroom, and she exploded. Oh my God, that meant a lot, man, and that meant a lot to her too. Like that's all we talked about for weeks after.
Yeah.
Um, but fast forward to my visit, and it was just an amazing time, family atmosphere. The guys were cool. I got to saw the city around the campus, not just the campus. What's going on around? Can I see myself here? Is it more
Right.
than just the campus? And it was, and that combined with the fact that South Carolina's coach got fired, right after my visit, so I wasn't getting any communication.
Mm.
Let's do it. And the funny thing is, so say it's February 1st. I don't
Mm.
know the exact date. Let's call it January 29th.
Mm.
South Carolina's calling Stephaun. Hey, trying to get back in touch with you, man. We just got your information. Unfortunately, Coach Hill is not here anymore, but you came on your visit. We want to check. And I'm like, bro, I'm decided now. Like
Yeah.
I'm decided now. Like I done already told people at the banquet that I'm committed to Tennessee, and
Right.
I know kids decommit and all that stuff all the time, but I like to be a man of my word, even at that age. Like, no, if I tell you I'm coming, I wasn't going to commit early like they wanted me to. If I'm
Right.
telling you I'm going to attend your school, I'm going to your school. So they called on that day, like, "Hey man, what's up, man? I'm so sorry you haven't been hearing from us, and blah blah blah. And are you still committed? You still coming?" And I'm like, "Coach, man, like I just committed to former." And
Hmm.
this is Spurrier talking. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I'm committed to former,
Dang.
coach. I'm sorry. I thought you guys didn't want me because I hadn't heard from you in 3 weeks. And he
Mm.
was like, no, man, come on. So all of that with respect to him, just trying to secure his recruit. But
Yeah.
that's how I ended up at Tennessee, man. And, uh, the cool thing about that is your phone stops ringing.
Mm.
Your phone stops ringing, and you don't realize how good the silence is after 3 years of recruitment. Well, I
Wow.
guess 2.5 because it was like after my sophomore season,
Yeah.
that whole spring of sophomore year, and then all of junior, all of senior. So 2.5 years of recruiting, man, your phone stops ringing. It's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have to use all my minutes on all my minutes on coaches calls, which listen, they find a way to take care of your phone bill sometimes, but
Mm.
you don't get your phone bill ran through the roof with coaches calls anymore, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's so quiet. And now I can be a senior, like I can actually be a high school senior, like
Yeah.
everybody else for a little bit. So that part was the best part of it is being able to attend all the senior activities, being able to lock in with my class and really start to like get to know them and do things with them on weekends because my weekends up to that point were non-existent
Yeah.
for a while, for a long time. So being able to lock in with my class after recruiting was amazing.
Mm. That's awesome. And I
Mm-hmm.
guess like as you're looking to wrap up, did you like what were some of the goals you had like wrapping up your senior year going into college? Was it mainly football? Like did you have your major to be like, okay, I'm gonna go study this. Like I already got this background in high school. Like I'll be popping back and forth like each quarter to home, like bring the family up to visit, things like that.
Nah, man, I put every at that point I put everything down. Like I put future planning, I
Mm.
put it down. Because I had for a while I had been just inundated with decisions.
Yeah.
And I'm even like that to this day as an adult, as a father, as a husband.
Mm.
After a while, like I'm decisioned out. Like when
Mm.
I get the opportunity to not make a decision,
Yeah.
oh man, like when my wife makes a 2 night meal and we're on night number one and we don't, and I know she's not going to ask me, what do you want to eat tomorrow? Oh my gosh, that blows my mind, right? Or if I have to go to a conference or something and I know, hey, I got to wear this logo shirt with
Mm.
this color pants. Oh, that is
Yeah.
amazing. So even as a kid, as soon as I didn't need to make this long term decisions, I just
Yeah.
stopped. Um, I just stopped making decisions and I just started kind of living day to day, which
Mm.
was good to do because I knew where I was going to school. I didn't want to worry about what I was going to major in because they
Yeah.
had already let me know that hey, your first. Also, I
Mm.
was able to do that because as a student athlete, you don't make your own decisions anyway. They tell
Mm.
you when to wake up, tell you when to eat, tell you when to
Yeah.
sleep. You know what I mean? Tell you when you got meetings, practice. Your schedule is not your own anyway. So
Yeah.
I didn't have to worry about what my future plans were
Mm.
because they were going to make them for me anyway. You're gonna choose your major, but
Right.
once you choose your major, your class times aren't necessarily yours because they're going to work them around practice. So
Right. Right.
okay, if practice is at X time, your classes are going to be around that. So
Mm.
you don't have much autonomy at that point anyway. So after recruiting, finishing up my year, I just stopped making decisions because I knew at that point I knew in about 5 months
Mm.
like things were about to get real because I was going to have to report and all that stuff. So things were going to get real. So I stopped making decisions and I just
Yeah.
started living like a regular student, which was
Mm.
cool.
How'd you enjoy that? Like wrapping up, did you do the prom and all that? Or what was that like?
Yeah, I did, man. I did. Funny thing is about prom is it was right around uh, the track and field state championships.
Hmm.
And man, and just me being a kid, I had to really think about like, man, do I go and try to win this this semi,
Hmm.
knowing that I'm gonna have to run tomorrow, and then knowing that I'm 3 hours away from Dalton. So if I win today, I'm gonna have to go tomorrow. Then I got prom tomorrow night. Man, I'm gonna get in trouble. My girl already bought a dress. Like, oh, so um, so I did do prom though, but I
Hmm.
did all the senior stuff, all the senior week stuff. I hung out, the senior skip day, which is really just a day off. I did all that, man. And that felt good. It felt really good just to be a student for a while. I didn't have, like I said, my phone wasn't ringing
Yeah.
unless it was my friends. I was hanging out like a normal kid. I didn't have coaches all over me. I wasn't as serious about track because I wasn't trying to get hurt. So yeah, I was
Hmm.
running,
Yeah.
but I wasn't really pushing myself as hard as I could.
Hmm.
Like I told you, I peaked time wise in sophomore year because
Hmm.
now once I found out football, I started to build my body different.
Hmm.
So I wasn't running the same way. So it's just like, you know what, I'm on the team
Hmm.
because I like to, and I'm naturally going to win 95% of my races just
Right,
off
right.
showing up until you get to state. So I naturally won every race until I got to state, and
Yeah.
then did that. But so yeah, I just really took a load off for about 5 months because I knew after that my life, was going to change dramatically. So I
Hmm.
really, really enjoyed it. It was a good time. And the same thing in college, right? Once you get for that last year where it's like, oh crap, football season over, the last snap, the whistle's blown,
Hmm.
and now you get to be a regular college student. That's a surreal spot too, like because you get to see the campus
Hmm.
because you're not so
Like
tied into, hey,
in your bubble.
yeah, you have to be right here at 2:10. You're going to be here at 2:40. Then the golf cart is going to come pick this group up. And then y'all are going to go to the facilities at 3:15. And you don't see the campus because you don't even have time. When are
Right.
you going to go? By the time you get out of practice and all the meetings that they got you in, it's 7 p.m.
Mm.
You can't even see the campus at that point. And then, so spring ball, you get a little chance to do a little bit, but at that time, you're trying to chill as much as possible. So,
Mm.
really getting the opportunity to be a student on both levels was probably some of my most fun times at Dalton High School and at the University of Tennessee.
That's awesome. That's what's
Yeah,
up. My
yeah,
my older
man.
brother went to University of Tennessee, and I remember I related with him on track and field because like we would watch it during the Olympics, and like he ran with guys like Justin Gatlin and
Yeah.
Gary, and it's like man, like those guys, it's different when you see people that have been like they run and it's like
Hmm.
they're running because it's like when it comes to like the 400 and they're what kind of times are people putting up like low 40s or like mid 40s
Yeah,
and
40,
it's like
in college, 40, 44 through 46 for
yeah
college athletes. Yeah.
like in high school I think you're trying to break 50 or see if you can be up in that area and you just seeing some people it's like okay this person like people have the quick twitch muscle and other people it's like maybe you're better long distance runner or you're better hurdler but like when I remember there's like maybe been like two races that I felt like I gave it my all and it's like oh man like you really showed up and it's like
Yeah.
okay like everything's kind of just like I don't know if it's like butterflies in your stomach or like your legs are just kind of locking up. It's like, hey, run through it, go keep moving, don't just lay down. Next thing you know, like, oh, cramp. And it's like you didn't warm
Yeah.
up properly.
Yeah, dude. And the thing is not even just the warm up, man. Like pushing your body to the limit as many times as you can.
Yeah.
Of course, while remaining healthy, right? Not saying,
Hmm.
just go crazy and hurt yourself. But when you get those practice opportunities, like pushing your body to see how far it can go,
Yeah.
it makes you, once again, makes you comfortable in those situations where in practice, say track practice, not so much football. It's hard to do in football because it's so structured. You
Hmm.
can't really do too much because now they want you to hurry up and get back to the line for the next play.
Yeah.
But in track, I would practice running say the 200 differently. In the 100 is just go all out.
Yeah.
But the 200, you're supposed to kind of get out fast that first 50 and then kind of slow it down and then save a little bit. So I would
Hmm.
practice different ways of doing it. It's like, let me see if I can push my body like this. How does it
Hmm.
look if I go out a little slower and then burn 150? How does it
Right.
look if I go in different ways? And like, I'm going to test my body because I never know what I'm going to need it to do,
Mm.
right? At the end of this race or at the end of this game or the end of this situation. Um, you always got to test your body, man, because you never know how deep you got to dig, for that win or for that time or whatever you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, that's true. And even the way that they did a lot of the training with like Coach Thompson and I think for the girls coach it was Coach Brackett, I think.
Bracket, yep, yep.
Yeah. And it's like I think I'm trying to think if it was one drill, and for instance, when we had like a rest week or something, and it's like you're supposed to go around the track. I don't know if they had a sprint like tens or thirties or something like that. You're supposed to like sprint one, jog, sprint, jog, sprint, jog, sprint, and it's like
Yeah,
you're trying to keep the same level of intensity for the first set by like the fourth, fifth, sixth, 10th set, and you're just like, you,
yeah.
sometimes it starts going through your head like, do I jog like when they're not looking, or is like they're like, yeah, you gotta go all out, go all out. And it's like I'm thinking like, am I gonna my are my legs gonna work well enough to like walk home? And is it
Mhm.
is it gonna be like I'm more worried about being able to walk home rather than like push myself to the limit and like
Yeah,
trust that my body's gonna recover itself, so to speak.
man. It'll do it, man. It'll do it. You got to make it. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
over time, man. It's just one of those things. You got to get that acid out of there. That once that
yeah,
acid builds up, it's a wrap for
right,
whoever.
right.
But yeah, it's just over time. The more you push yourself, the more your body says, "Okay, we're doing this. This is a
Yeah.
thing. All right, this is what we do. We can push it." So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
man.
that's definitely important now more than ever because it's like a lot of the things that I maybe held on to for a while, I'm like, if push comes to shove, you've got to let this go. Like you can't continue to be like the shy kid, like I don't know about this. It's like the I don't know doesn't work anymore. It's like you got to make a decision, be okay with being wrong, and then course correct when the decision doesn't go right. It's like, hey, just because it didn't go your way doesn't mean that's it. Like
Yeah,
you don't get like a stamp or a scarlet letter on you just being like failure. That's it. That's
yeah,
all you're gonna be, failure. It's like
yeah.
that's it. Like it's like no, like you only get places in life because like you try, and it's like a lot of times, especially with social media now, like nobody really knows like what it takes to get to the level that you're at to be able to have this conversation with you and just be like, oh yeah, like in my mind I remember, like I can say maybe I remember some of the highlights, but then I'm like, oh yeah, I remember like that the reason you had the camaraderie is that no one really looked down on you to be like, oh, I'm the superstar and you guys are just like
Mhm.
the freshmen or this. It's like we would
Yeah.
joke with each other, but there's always that like mutual respect where it's like,
Mhm.
even if I didn't feel like I deserved it, it's like, no, like you're a part of the team. Like you
Yeah.
are this thing. So like being able to like reach out and say like, hey, do you want to do this? Like, yeah, man, I do want to have the conversation. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. Like you have the audacity to be in the room with people because like it's just something that's afforded to you that you don't always have to like scratch, claw, and do this. But like
Mhm.
in the times that you have those opportunities, it's like, hey, by all means, get it while you can. And then
One,
you can
yeah,
count on your body to call on those reserves when you need them and not
for
be like,
sure.
oh man, I wish I could really, I wish I could really move my toes right now. And it's like, what are you talking about? You've been sitting on that couch for a minute. Like,
Ah,
what are we talking about right here?
yeah. And nah, man, that's a great call out, man, about like that team aspect, man. And of course this we're talking high school. Of course I played D1 ball, but it was never important for me to feel like a star in high school, man. Like that was never I never tried to walk around with that air of like, oh, yeah, the camera's here because of me, or now we're doing this interview, so I'm gonna walk around like the man. It's like, nah, man, I
Mm,
always wanted to be as approachable as possible.
Yeah.
as down to earth, because secretly, man, a lot of us, as far as athletes who are going through recruiting and going through those, we really just want to be a kid. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Yeah, we want what we're doing. We want what we're doing to be rewarded. Don't get me
Right.
wrong,
Right.
but deep down, we want to be kids. So, like for me personally, I know there's some jerks out there, but for me personally, it was important for me uh, to be humble, right? It
Yeah.
was, and that's testament to those that were around me. It was important for me to be humble. It's important for me to show love to everybody that's on that field. I don't care if they're a senior about to go, D1 here, or if they're a freshman that has never seen a football in their life, and their mom said that they got to do something until they
Yeah.
get off of work. I don't care. It's like, we're all on the same team. We're going through this together. It's the same temperature for me under my helmet as it is for yours.
Hmm.
My feet are hot and blistered. Your feet are hot and blistered.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many plays I get. We're still gonna cut up on the sideline. I'm gonna still
Hmm.
squirt the water at you from what we go. Like we're still gonna have that, man. And then, like you said, when you call and when you reach out, it's still that family dynamic where if you call and you want me to hop on, I'm gonna hop on, man, and I'll do that for anybody, because
Yeah.
who am I? I played ball for 8 years of my life. That is not who I am. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, I'm Stephaun Reigns before I'm, you know, football player, track guy, record, this, Tennessee, that.
Hmm.
Man, no, it's all about, I want to support what you got going on here. I'm very proud of, you know, your growth and who you've become, and what I've seen you do over the years, man. I'm proud of it, because when I met you, you couldn't get more than two words out. You know what I mean? You couldn't get more than two words out at a time. So it's like, to see your growth is amazing, man. Like you're doing your thing. And like I said, I watch from afar. I'll comment when I can and things like that. So, hats off to you, man. Salute to you for growing into this space and opening yourself up to be seen from a guy who was kind of covered up as much as
Yeah.
possible, you know what I mean, back in school. So to see you open yourself up for public consumption, for public eyes to see you, like that's huge, man. And hats off to you for the growth in that space.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think I'll probably get you out of here on this part. We'll call this like part one or part two, and then we'll
Yeah.
definitely have to come back and talk more about the man that's a family man, because it's like, man, like I think it's dope to see not just positive images, but people in action that are like present. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
present with your family, you're present
Yeah.
with your community, and just being able to continue the conversations forward. It's like we all get busy, but when we can make time for each other, I like this is awesome for me, because it's like being able to have the conversations and share the conversations are like, oh yeah, we should do this more often.
For sure. Let me know, man. Anytime. If we haven't even dove into University of Tennessee, and then who I am these days, with it as a father of three, married for 12 years. We haven't even
Man,
dove into that. So
congratulations.
now let me know what's convenient for you. Then we can do it that way. As far as freedom like this goes,
Yeah,
Sundays are probably best work days. My head is going in many different ways. So
yeah.
we'll keep the conversation going.
For sure. And I'll ask you this, or maybe two questions. How can people get in touch with you if they want to continue to follow your journey and see what you're getting into?
Shoot, for me, see, call me for real. Call me, man. Now reach out. Of course, my social media handle is Rainman29 on Instagram. Just
Mhm,
Rainman29. I do take extensive breaks on
mhm.
there.
Right,
So
right.
if anybody reached out to me, which they probably won't, man. Who am I? You know what I mean? But if
Recruiters
anybody,
coming back like, hey,
yeah,
hey,
yeah,
hey,
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 what's
hey,
up,
hey,
man?
hey.
But nah, if anybody ever wanted to talk, like I'm an open book, man. I whatever, even whether it's for uh, you know, sports, life, uh, professionally, whatever it may be, let me know. But Rainman29 on there, I take extensive breaks. If I ever feel like I'm missing my goals in any part of my life, whether it's work, financial, kids, wife, if I'm missing any of my goals, I will get off social media in a heartbeat.
Mhm.
So if anything, reach out to Asher, man. he got my number, man.
All good.
And
And from
hit my phone.
awesome. And from the first question I asked you, are you still who you said you were?
In what ways?
Just as an individual.
Mm. Just being humble.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I've stuck to who I've been trying to be all along, man.
Mm,
I am a extroverted introvert,
mm,
right? Where I show up for those in my circle. You know, I want to be around my people. I want to laugh and hug and do all the things with the people around me, man. But I'm an introvert, man. Like that's probably why I've been quiet for years, man. I've been
yeah.
really quiet. I've been a dad for, my daughter's about to be 11 in a few years. Me and my wife's been together for 16 years, but married for 12, man.
Mm,
I lock in with those I love, and like I said, as far as being humble, I'm always learning, right?
yeah.
I'm always learning from those around me. I'm always looking to learn. Um, and looking to be wrong, right? It's just
Mm,
those opportunities to be wrong, those opportunities to be corrected in things that I'm doing, whether it's professionally, whether it's as a dad, and it's why it's important for me to surround myself with like-minded men or opposite-minded men, right? And
mm,
and get myself in a position to be taught and be molded in different ways. So we, that's important to me. So my thing is humility. Be humble. Never put yourself on the pedestal. And
yeah.
that's just how I do it. That's just how I do it. And I'm a dad, man. I'm committed, man. I'm coaching my sons right now.
Mm,
A couple more years. Hey, my son's 8. My other son is 5, and my daughter's 11. She's really the athlete though. So be on the lookout. You'll be hearing the Reigns name in Georgia uh, for years to come here pretty soon.
that's
So
what's up.
yeah.
And thank you so much for this time, Stefan. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Hey, thank you, man. Blessings to your platform. Blessings to everything you got going on. I look forward to the next one.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.